Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, watching the small blue planet grow larger on the main screen. His 4 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he counted the ships in his fleet. 10,000 warships stretched across space like a metal storm cloud, each one capable of turning a continent into glass. The Admiral's scaled skin rippled with pleasure. In his 300 years of conquest, he had never seen such an easy target. Earth hung before them like a ripe fruit, defenseless and primitive. His intelligence officers had done their work well. The reports were clear. Humanity had barely reached their own moon. Their weapons were crude projectiles, and they had no energy shields or orbital defenses. "How pitiful," muttered Commander Zethak, the Admiral's second in command. "These humans still use chemical rockets. They burn fuel to push themselves through space like children playing with fireworks." The bridge crew laughed at this. They were Xerion warriors, members of the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. Their ancestors had conquered 847 star systems. Every world that had dared to resist them now served the Empire or lay in ruins. The Xerion way was simple: surrender and live as slaves, or fight and die as examples too. Others, Admiral Kethvar activated the communication array. His voice would soon echo across every radio and television on the planet below. The translation computers would convert his words into the primitive languages these humans used. "Beings of the third planet," his voice boomed across space, "I am Admiral Kethvar of the Xerion Empire. Your world has been chosen for integration into our glorious civilization. You have 6 of your hours to surrender completely. Lay down all weapons. Gather your leaders in your largest cities. Prepare to serve the Empire with gratitude." He paused, enjoying the moment. This was always his favorite part. The terror, the confusion, the desperate attempts at negotiation that would follow. "If you resist, we will demonstrate why 847 worlds have learned to kneel before Xerion might. Your cities will burn. Your oceans will boil. Your species will serve as a warning to others who think they can defy us." The Admiral cut the transmission and turned to his tactical officer. "Begin scanning their major population centers. I want targeting solutions for their capitals, military bases, and industrial centers. When they refuse to surrender, and they always do, we will make examples of 10 cities. That usually convinces the survivors to be more reasonable." The tactical officer's claws clicked across his control panel. "Sir, I'm detecting approximately 8 billion humans on the surface. Most are concentrated in large settlements. Their technology is even more primitive than our scouts reported. I see no orbital platforms, no energy weapons, no quantum shields." "Excellent," the Admiral purred. "Signal the fleet standard invasion formation. Heavy cruisers in the front, destroyers on the flanks. Keep the dreadnoughts in reserve. We won't need them for this rabble." Around the flagship, 10,000 ships began moving into position. Each vessel was a masterpiece of Xerion engineering, armed with plasma cannons that could crack open planets and shields that could turn aside the fury of stars. The smallest destroyer in the fleet could defeat the combined militaries of most worlds. The Admiral had conquered his first world when he was barely an adult. That had been a real fight. The Kethmori had possessed energy weapons and force fields. They had put up a brave defense, holding out for almost a full day before their capital fell. But these humans? The Admiral expected the entire conquest to be finished before his next meal. "Sir," called the communications officer, "we're receiving transmissions from the planet. Multiple languages, multiple sources. They appear to be attempting to contact us. Let me hear," the Admiral commanded. Static filled the bridge, then voices speaking in the crude sounds humans called language. The translation computers worked quickly, converting the alien words into proper Xerion speech. "Unknown vessels, this is Earth Defense Command. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions. We are the United Nations of Earth. We request immediate diplomatic contact to discuss your presence in our system. This is the President of the United States. We wish to open peaceful negotiations with your people." The bridge crew burst into laughter. The Admiral's scales rippled with amusement. They think this is a negotiation. They believe they have something to bargain with. Commander Zethak shook his head in wonder. In all my years of conquest, I have never seen such ignorance. Do they not understand that 10,000 warships in their sky means their world already belongs to us? It is almost sad, agreed the Admiral. They are like insects trying to negotiate with the boot that is about to crush them. Still, we must follow protocol. Send the standard response. The communications officer nodded and opened a channel. The Admiral's voice once again reached across space to the little blue world. Humans of Earth, there will be no negotiations. There will be no discussions. There is only surrender or death. You have been judged by the Xerian Empire and found wanting. Your primitive technology, your divided governments, your weak bodies all mark you as a species suitable only for servitude. He gestured to his tactical display, where Earth hung like a target. We have studied your world for many cycles. We know of your wars, your pollution, your inability to unite even your own species. You cannot even leave your own solar system without burning through your chemical fuels like fire through dry grass. What could such a primitive race possibly offer the masters of 847 worlds? The Admiral's voice grew harder, more threatening. You have 5 hours and 37 minutes remaining. Use this time wisely. Gather your leaders. Prepare your surrender documents. Begin teaching your young ones to speak Xerion. For that will be the only language that matters once we take control. He cut the transmission again and turned to study the tactical displays. Earth looked so small, so helpless. Its single moon was barely worth noticing. The asteroid belt beyond held nothing but rocks and ice. There were no hidden fleets, no secret weapons, no orbital fortresses. Just a primitive world full of beings who had never learned that the universe belonged to the strong. Sir, the tactical officer reported, our deep scans confirm the intelligence reports. No energy shields around their major cities, no plasma cannons. Their most powerful weapons appear to be nuclear devices that they actually detonate by splitting atoms. Can you imagine such crude methods? The Admiral nodded. Nuclear weapons were what children played with before they learned to harness real power. The Xerian Empire had abandoned such primitive tools thousands of years ago. What about their space vessels? He asked. Pathetic, sir. Chemical rockets that barely reach escape velocity. A few small stations in orbit around their world, but nothing. Armed. Some primitive probes scattered through their system, but they appear to be for scientific observation only. And their military forces? Divided among hundreds of small nations. They actually fight each other more than they cooperate. Their weapons are projectile-based, firing small pieces of metal at each other. Some have energy weapons, but only simple lasers and plasma rifles. Nothing that could even scratch our shields. Admiral Kethvar allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. This would indeed be the easiest conquest in Imperial history. The humans would surrender, or they would burn. Either way, the Xerian Empire would soon claim its 848th world. He had no idea that deep beneath the surface of that small blue planet, ancient systems were already beginning to wake up. President Sarah Chen stared at the massive screens in the White House Situation Room. The images being fed from telescopes around the world all showed the same impossible sight. Thousands of alien ships hanging in space above Earth like dark clouds before a storm. How many? She asked quietly. General Morrison cleared his throat. Latest count is just over 10,000 vessels, Madam President. The largest ones are, well, they're bigger than our aircraft carriers. Some are the size of small cities. Around the table, the faces of world leaders appeared on video screens. The Prime Minister of England looked pale. The President of Russia was stone-faced. The Chancellor of Germany kept adjusting her glasses as if that would make the nightmare go away. Have we tried communicating with them? President Chen asked. Yes, ma'am, replied the director of NASA. We've sent messages on every frequency we can generate. Radio, microwave, even laser pulses. They responded about an hour ago. The room fell silent except for the hum of computers and air conditioning. Everyone knew what the aliens had said. The message had been broadcast simultaneously to every television station, every radio frequency, every internet connection on the planet. The translation had been perfect. as if the aliens understood every human language perfectly. 6 hours, whispered the Secretary of Defense. They gave us 6 hours to surrender completely. President Chen looked around the room at her advisors. These were the smartest, most experienced people in the government, and every face showed the same expression. Helpless terror mixed with desperate hope that someone, somewhere, had a plan. "What are our options?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. General Morrison activated a holographic display showing Earth's military assets. "Ma'am, to be completely honest, we have no options. Our most advanced fighters can't even reach the altitude where their ships are positioned. Our missiles don't have the range. Our satellites can observe them, but that's all." "What about nuclear weapons?" asked the President of France through the video link. "We could launch ICBMs," Morrison replied, "but they would have to be fired from Earth's surface. The aliens would have plenty of time to see them coming and shoot them down. Even if one got through, we have no idea if nuclear explosions would even damage their ships." Dr. Elizabeth Warren, the President's chief science advisor, leaned forward. "Madam President, I've been analyzing the alien vessels with our best telescopes. Their technology is so far beyond ours that it's like comparing a stone axe to a fighter jet. They have energy shields, weapons we can't even identify, and propulsion systems that seem to ignore the laws of physics as we understand them." The Chinese premier spoke up from his screen. "My scientists report the same thing. These beings are clearly capable of traveling between star systems. They have conquered other worlds. We are facing an enemy with thousands of years of technological advantage." President Chen felt the weight of 8 billion lives pressing down on her shoulders. As the leader of Earth's most powerful nation, everyone was looking to her for answers she didn't have. "What do we know about their intentions?" she asked. The CIA director opened a thick folder. "Based on their broadcast, they're part of something called the Xerian Empire. They claim to have conquered 847 other worlds. Their message was clear: surrender and become slaves, or resist and be destroyed as an example to others." "Have they made similar demands to other species?" asked the Prime Minister of India. "We have no way of knowing, sir. This is humanity's first contact with alien intelligence, and it appears we're about to become their 848th conquest." President Chen closed her eyes for a moment, trying to think. In her 20 years of politics, she had faced many crises, but nothing had prepared her for this. How do you negotiate with beings who see your entire species as insects? How do you fight an enemy with weapons that can destroy continents? Are there any other governments trying to communicate with them? She asked. "Yes, ma'am," replied the Secretary of State. "The United Nations is attempting to establish diplomatic contact. The European Union has sent messages. Russia, China, Japan, Brazil, and India have all tried to open negotiations. The aliens haven't responded to any of them." Dr. Warren cleared her throat. "Madam President, there's something else, something strange." "Strange how?" "Our deep space monitoring stations have been picking up unusual readings from around the planet. Electromagnetic fluctuations in patterns we've never seen before. It started about an hour after the alien fleet arrived." General Morrison frowned. "What kind of fluctuations?" "It's hard to describe. The readings are coming from multiple locations around the globe. Underground facilities, ocean floors, mountain ranges. It's almost as if something is waking up." The president of Russia leaned forward on his screen. "Dr. Warren, are you suggesting these readings are connected to the alien arrival?" "I don't know, sir. The timing could be coincidental, but the patterns are too organized to be natural phenomena. It's like someone turned on a massive network of hidden equipment." President Chen felt a strange chill run down her spine. "What kind of equipment?" "Unknown, ma'am. The energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. They're not nuclear, not fossil fuel, not solar or wind. Whatever is generating these readings is using technology we don't recognize." The room fell silent again. Outside the windows of the White House, the president could see people gathering in the streets. News vans from around the world had arrived. The invasion was being broadcast live on every channel. Humanity was watching its final hours play out in real time. "Madam President," said the British Prime Minister, "we need to make a decision. Do we surrender, or do we fight?" "Fight with what?" asked the German Chancellor. We might as well throw rocks at them. Maybe surrender is the only rational choice, and suggested the Japanese Prime Minister. If we become their slaves, at least some of us will survive. No, said President Chen firmly. I won't hand over 8 billion human beings to become slaves without at least trying to defend ourselves, even if it's hopeless. General Morrison nodded grimly. Ma'am, if you give the order, we can coordinate a global defense effort. Every nation firing everything we have at the same time. It won't work, but at least we'll go down fighting. How long do we have left? President Chen asked. The NASA director checked his watch. 4 hours and 23 minutes, ma'am. As if summoned by their conversation, every screen in the room suddenly activated. The alien admiral's face appeared, his 4 eyes gleaming with amusement. His scaled features looked down at them with the expression of a cat watching mice in a trap. Humans of Earth. The alien's translated voice filled the room. I am Admiral Kethvar of the Xerian Empire. I see you are gathering your leaders, discussing your pathetic options. This is wise. Accept that your world now belongs to us. The Admiral's image gestured to something off-screen. Let me show you the price of resistance. The screens changed to show one of the alien ships, smaller than the others but still enormous. Energy began building around its weapons, glowing with power that made the air itself seem to shimmer. This is a demonstration, the Admiral's voice continued. Watch and learn why 847 worlds have chosen submission over destruction. The alien ship fired a single beam of energy down toward Earth. The beam struck an uninhabited island in the Pacific Ocean. In seconds, the entire island simply vanished, vaporized so completely that even the ocean floor where it had stood was gone. A perfect sphere of empty space remained, which the ocean quickly rushed to fill. That was our smallest weapon, the Admiral said as his face returned to the screens. We have larger ones, much larger ones. You have 4 hours and 21 minutes to surrender completely. Use this time to prepare your submission. The age of human independence is over. The transmission ended, leaving the world leaders staring at blank screens. In the silence that followed, Dr. Warren's voice was barely a whisper. Madam President, those strange readings I mentioned, they just increased by a factor of 10. Something big is definitely waking up. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that appeared on no government maps, something ancient was stirring. Dr. Marcus Webb had worked at the Cheyenne Mountain Complex for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like what was happening, in the restricted levels far below NORAD. Sir, you need to see this, called Lieutenant Rodriguez from her monitoring station. Her voice was tight with a mixture of fear and excitement. Dr. Webb hurried over to her console, his security badge bouncing against his chest. The screen showed energy readings that should have been impossible. Power levels that exceeded the output of nuclear reactors were flowing through systems that officially didn't exist. When did this start? He asked. Approximately 2 hours ago, sir. Right after the alien broadcast. It's like something heard their message and decided to wake up. Dr. Webb stared at the data streams flowing across multiple monitors. In his years of working on classified projects, he thought he knew every secret hidden in these mountains. But the readings showed massive machinery coming online in sections of the facility that were supposed to be solid rock. Rodriguez, pull up the facility blueprints, level by level. Already tried, sir. The blueprints only go down to level 12. These readings are coming from at least 20 levels deeper. That's impossible. I've seen the geological surveys. There's nothing below level 12 except solid granite. Lieutenant Rodriguez turned to face him, her dark eyes wide with disbelief. Sir, according to these sensors, there are vast chambers carved into the mountain. Chambers filled with technology that's drawing power directly from the Earth's core. Before Dr. Webb could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in corridors as automated systems activated protocols that no one remembered programming. Sir, Rodriguez pointed at her main screen. I'm getting similar readings from facilities around the world. CERN in Switzerland just went active with the same energy signature. So did installations in Australia, Japan, Russia, and Brazil. Dr. Webb's hands trembled as he activated his highest security clearance and tried to access files he had never seen before. His computer screen flickered, then displayed documents with classification levels beyond anything in his experience. Project Gaia, he read aloud. Initiated 12,000 years ago? That can't be right. The computer files opened, revealing information that made Dr. Webb's mind reel. Earth was not humanity's original homeworld. Humans were descendants of an ancient spacefaring civilization that had once ruled a vast stellar empire. But something had happened, some great war or catastrophe that forced them to hide. "Sir, are you reading this?" Rodriguez whispered, looking at her own screen. "It says our ancestors came to Earth as refugees. They built hidden facilities all over the planet and went into hibernation? Waiting for something?" Dr. Webb scrolled through files that described technology beyond his understanding. Quantum weapons that could tear apart matter at the atomic level. Ships that traveled faster than light by folding space itself. Energy shields that could protect entire solar systems. "This has to be fiction," he muttered. Some kind of science fiction story someone put in the classified files as a joke, but even as he said it, the evidence was growing around them. Deep beneath their feet, machinery older than recorded history was coming to life. The mountain itself was humming with power. A new voice suddenly echoed through the facility speakers. It was human, but different somehow. Clearer, more precise, as if every word was carefully chosen. "Attention, surface descendants. This is Central Command. The ancient protocols have been activated by the presence of hostile forces. All personnel should remain calm while defensive systems come online." Dr. Webb grabbed his radio. "Central Command. This is Dr. Webb, Facility Director. Who is this? What protocols are you talking about?" "Dr. Webb, your facility is one of 47 primary defense nodes hidden across Earth. You and your staff are descendants of the humans who built these systems 12 millennia ago. The enemy fleet above us represents the threat we have been waiting to face." Lieutenant Rodriguez was frantically working at her console. "Sir, I'm picking up movement throughout the mountain. Massive structures are rising through solid rock. It's like the stone is just flowing out of the way." On the main screen, satellite feeds showed the impossible. Around the world, mountains were opening like flowers. What had appeared to be solid granite was revealed as sophisticated camouflage. Hidden cities were rising from ocean floors. The Sahara Desert was splitting open to reveal gleaming metal structures that stretched to the horizon. "Surface descendants," the voice continued, "your ancestors chose to hide rather than conquer. They settled on this world and allowed their children to forget the old technologies, living simple lives while automated systems maintained the deep defenses. Only when faced with extinction would the sleeping guardians awaken." Dr. Webb watched, in amazement as his monitors showed the truth. Humanity wasn't a young species that had barely learned to fly. They were the children of star travelers who had possessed technology that made the alien invaders look primitive. "Why?" he asked aloud. "Why hide all this? Why let us think we were alone?" "Because power corrupts," came the reply. "Your ancestors learned this lesson at great cost. They chose to let their descendants grow naturally, peacefully, until the day when that peace was threatened. Today is that day." Around the world, similar scenes were playing out. In Switzerland, CERN scientists discovered that their particle accelerator was actually camouflage for a weapon that could manipulate fundamental forces. In Australia, researchers found that Uluru was not a natural rock formation but a massive sensor array that had been monitoring space for thousands of years. The moon, which humans had visited only briefly, was beginning to split along hidden seams. Ancient metal gleamed beneath the surface rock as the satellite revealed its true nature. A fortress that had been disguised as a natural moon for millennia. "Sir," Rodriguez called out, her voice filled with awe, "I'm reading similar activations on Mars, Europa, Titan, and dozens of asteroids throughout the solar system. They're all artificial. They're all waking up." Dr. Webb felt his understanding of reality crumble and rebuild itself. Humanity hadn't been alone in the universe. They had never been alone. They were part of something vast and ancient that had been sleeping, waiting for this moment. "The alien fleet," he said suddenly. "What about the alien fleet?" The voice from Central Command took on a tone that might have been amusement. The Xerion Empire believes they are facing a primitive species with crude weapons. They are about to learn why our ancestors chose to hide rather than rule. The galaxy forgot that humans could be dangerous. Today they will remember. On every screen in the facility, tactical displays were lighting up. The alien ships that had seemed so massive and threatening were suddenly revealed as small dots surrounded by defensive systems that dwarfed them. Earth was not a helpless planet. It was a fortress that had been waiting 12,000 years for someone to be foolish enough to attack it. The energy readings were off every scale. Weapons that had slept since the dawn of civilization were powering up. Ships that had been disguised as asteroids were shedding their camouflage. The scattered children of an ancient empire were remembering who they really were. How long until the defenses are fully active? Dr. Webb asked. Approximately 7 minutes, Central Command replied. The Xerion fleet has perhaps 10 minutes to surrender before we demonstrate why their 847 conquests were only possible because we allowed them to happen. Outside, the alien invaders waited confidently in space, certain of their victory over a primitive world. They had no idea that they had just awakened humanity's true nature. Admiral Kethavar was enjoying a cup of fermented Zethka when his tactical officer started screaming. Sir, the planet is changing." The Admiral set down his drink and turned toward the main screen with mild irritation. What could possibly be wrong? The humans had 2 hours left before their surrender deadline. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. What he saw on the screen made his 4 eyes widen in disbelief. Earth was transforming before their eyes. Mountains were splitting open like eggs, revealing gleaming metal structures underneath. Why? Ocean floors were rising, pushing water aside as massive installations surfaced. The Arctic ice cap was melting away to expose a city-sized complex that pulsed with energy. "What is this?" the Admiral whispered. "Sir, I don't know. Our sensors are detecting massive power sources all over the planet. Energy levels beyond anything in our databases. It's like the entire world is one giant machine that just turned on." Commander Zethak rushed to his station, his claws clicking frantically across the controls. "Admiral, our long-range scanners are detecting movement throughout the solar system. The asteroid belt is—" "Sir, the asteroids are moving. They're not asteroids at all." On the tactical display, what had appeared to be random space rocks were shedding rocky exteriors to reveal sleek, deadly-looking vessels. Hundreds of them. Each one was larger than a Xerion heavy cruiser. "Impossible," the Admiral breathed. "Our intelligence was perfect. The humans are primitive. They burn chemicals to reach space. They fight with projectile weapons." "Sir," called the communications officer, his voice cracking with fear. "We're receiving a transmission from the planet. But sir, it's not coming from their governments. It's coming from something else. Put it on screen." The image that appeared was shocking in its ordinariness. A middle-aged human woman with graying hair sat at what appeared to be a simple desk. Behind her, banks of advanced technology hummed quietly. She looked directly at Admiral Kethavar with calm, patient eyes. "Admiral Kethavar," she said in perfect Xerion language. "I am Commander Sarah Mitchell of Earth Defense Central. We need to talk." The Admiral's jaw dropped. "You speak our language. How do you speak our language?" "We've been monitoring your empire for quite some time, Admiral. Approximately 3,000 years by your calendar. We know all about your conquest of 847 worlds. We know about your methods, your technology, your weaknesses." "Monitoring us? Impossible! Your species has never left this solar system." Commander Mitchell smiled sadly. "Admiral, I'm afraid your intelligence has been deliberately fed false information. What you think you know about humanity is quite wrong." Around the Admiral, his bridge crew was working frantically at their stations. Alarms were sounding throughout the ship as sensors detected more and more impossible readings. "Sir," called the weapons officer, "the moon is opening. It's not a natural satellite at all." On the main screen, Earth's moon was splitting along previously invisible lines. As the sections pulled apart, they revealed a structure so massive that it dwarfed the entire Xerion fleet. Weapons arrays the size of cities were emerging from what had appeared to be simple rock formations. "This is a trick," the Admiral snarled. Some kind of illusion or holographic projection. I assure you it's quite real, Commander Mitchell replied calmly. Admiral, you and your fleet are currently surrounded by approximately 12,000 defense platforms ranging from small interceptors to fortress-class battle stations. Each one is equipped with weapons that operate on principles your scientists haven't discovered yet. The tactical officer was reading from his displays with growing panic. Sir, she's right. I'm counting thousands of ships. They're everywhere. Behind the moon, in the asteroid belt, hidden in the gas giant's rings. How did we miss them? Because we didn't want you to see them, Commander Mitchell explained. Admiral, 12,000 years ago, humanity made a choice. We could rule the galaxy through force, or we could hide and let our children live in peace. We chose peace. 12,000 years? The Admiral repeated weakly. We've been watching the galaxy evolve while our descendants grew up naturally on Earth. We monitored the rise of species like yours. We allowed you to conquer worlds and build your empire, always ready to intervene if you became too great a threat. The Admiral's mind was reeling. Everything he thought he knew about the galaxy was crumbling. But your technology, your ships, use chemical fuel. Our children's ships use chemical fuel, Commander Mitchell corrected. The toys we let them play with while they learn to be human. Our real ships use quantum displacement drives that can cross the galaxy in minutes. On the tactical display, new contacts were appearing every second. Ships were decloaking throughout the solar system. Not just dozens or hundreds, but thousands. Each one displayed technology that made Zarian engineering look like primitive tools. Sir, whispered Commander Zethak, our weapon systems can't get target locks. Their ships are phasing in and out of normal space. It's like they exist in multiple dimensions at once. Commander Mitchell nodded. Your energy weapons operate on principles we mastered millennia ago. Your shields use technology we discarded as inefficient. Admiral, your entire fleet could fire continuously for days and not scratch the paint on our smallest escort. The Admiral slumped in his command chair, the weight of realization crushing down on him. The 847 worlds. We conquered. We allowed you to conquer them, Commander Mitchell said gently. We were studying you, learning your methods, waiting to see if you would become wise enough to rule justly. Unfortunately, your treatment of conquered peoples has been disappointing. What do you want? The Admiral asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Your complete surrender, Admiral. But unlike you, we don't conquer for the sake of conquest. We're going to offer you and your empire a choice. Around the fleet, space itself was beginning to change. Massive rings of energy were forming around each Zarian ship, not threatening, but clearly demonstrating that escape was impossible. Sir, reported the tactical officer, they've created some kind of containment fields around our entire fleet. Our engines are disabled. Our weapons are offline. We can't even self-destruct. Commander Mitchell continued speaking as if she hadn't heard the report. You have exactly 3 minutes to order your fleet to power down all weapons and prepare for inspection. Your empire has 3 standard days to begin releasing all conquered peoples and dismantling your war machine. And if we refuse? The Admiral asked, though he already knew the answer. Then you'll join the fate of the other species who thought they could conquer Earth, she replied. Admiral, you're not the first empire to threaten our children. You're just the first one in quite a while. The Admiral looked around his bridge at his crew. These were Zarian warriors, the finest soldiers in the galaxy. But they looked like frightened children facing an adult's power. How many other empires have tried to conquer Earth, he asked. 17, Commander Mitchell said matter-of-factly. Some learned wisdom and became our allies. Others chose destruction. The choice is always theirs. What happened to the ones who chose destruction? Commander Mitchell's expression didn't change, but something cold flickered in her eyes. They became object lessons for future empires. Would you like to see the recordings? The Admiral shook his head quickly. No, that won't be necessary. 2 minutes, Admiral. Your answer, please. Admiral Kethavar looked at the tactical display one more time. His massive fleet of 10,000 ships was completely surrounded by human vessels that he couldn't even damage. The planet he had planned to conquer in hours had revealed itself as a fortress that could destroy his entire empire without effort. "All ships," he broadcast to his fleet, "power down weapons. Prepare for surrender." 3 months after the surrender of the Xerion fleet, Admiral HFY stood in what humans called the Reconciliation Chamber, aboard the massive space station that had once been hidden inside Earth's moon. He was no longer wearing the armor of conquest, but simple robes appropriate for a student, which is what he had become. Commander Sarah Mitchell sat across from him at a simple table, reviewing reports on her tablet. The chamber's walls were transparent, offering a view of space where the former Xerion warships were being converted into rescue vessels. Thousands of human ships moved through the system with purpose, but not the purpose of war. "The liberation of Ketha Prime is complete," Commander Mitchell announced without looking up. "That's 47 worlds freed from Xerion control in the past 90 days. Your former empire is dissolving faster than we expected." The Admiral nodded slowly. In the months since his surrender, he had learned more about the galaxy than in his previous 3 centuries of life. The humans hadn't just defeated his fleet, they had revealed truths that shattered everything he thought he knew about power and conquest. "How many of my people have chosen exile rather than redemption?" he asked. "About 30%, Mitchell replied. "They've been relocated to uninhabited worlds where they can build new societies. We monitor them, but we don't interfere unless they try to harm others. And the rest? Are learning what you're learning. That strength used wisely is far more powerful than strength used brutally." Admiral HFY looked out at the stars, where ships bearing the symbols of dozens of species were working together. Former enemies of the Xerion Empire were cooperating to rebuild worlds that had been damaged by conquest. "I still don't understand," he said quietly. "If your people possessed such power, why did you hide for 12,000 years? You could have ruled the entire galaxy." Commander Mitchell finally looked up from her tablet. "Admiral, what do you think happened to the last species that tried to rule the galaxy?" The question hit him like a physical blow. "You mean, we were the last galactic empire, HFY. Humans once controlled thousands of star systems. We had weapons that could destroy suns, ships that could cross dimensions, technology that let us reshape reality itself." The Admiral felt sick. "What happened?" "What always happens when a species grows too powerful too quickly. We became drunk on our own strength. We conquered because we could. We ruled because no one could stop us. And eventually we started to believe that our power made us better than everyone else." She gestured toward the stars where the work of liberation continued. "It took a civil war that nearly destroyed the galaxy to teach us wisdom. Half our species died in that conflict. Entire solar systems were rendered uninhabitable. We came very close to extinguishing all intelligent life, not just human life. But you survived. Barely. The survivors made a pact that has lasted 12 millennia. Never again would humans rule over other species. Never again would we use our power for conquest. We would hide, let our children grow up without the knowledge that could corrupt them, and only reveal ourselves when faced with extinction or when another species threatened to repeat our mistakes." Admiral HFY was quiet for a long moment, processing this revelation. "So when you detected our empire expanding, we began preparing, not for conquest, but for teaching. Every species that chooses the path of domination eventually faces the same choice we faced long ago: learn wisdom or face destruction." Through the transparent walls, the Admiral watched human ships delivering supplies to refugee camps on dozens of worlds. Former Xerion slaves were being reunited with their families. Children who had known only servitude were playing freely for the first time in their lives. "The other empires you mentioned," he said. "The 17 that tried to conquer Earth before us. 12 chose wisdom and became our allies. They learned to use their strength to protect rather than conquer. Their civilizations still exist, prospering in ways they never achieved through domination." "And the other 5? Commander Mitchell's expression became sad. "They chose pride over wisdom. They believed their power made them special, that they were destined to rule. When faced with evidence of greater power, They chose mutual destruction rather than humility. You destroyed them? They destroyed themselves. We simply contained the damage. The Admiral shuddered, understanding the implications. Somewhere in the galaxy were dead systems, lifeless worlds that served as monuments to the folly of unbridled conquest. "Why are you telling me this?" he asked. "Because you have a choice to make, Admiral. Your people can learn from humanity's mistakes and build something better, or they can follow the path of the 5 empires that chose destruction." Through the chamber's communication system, a new voice interrupted their conversation. It was young, excited, unmistakably human. "Commander Mitchell, this is Dr. James Park at the Vega colony. We've made contact with the hegemony." Mitchell activated the communication array. "Go ahead, Dr. Park." "Ma'am, they're responding to our diplomatic overtures. The hegemony is willing to discuss peaceful terms for the liberation of their conquered territories. They don't want to end up like the Zarian Empire." Mitchell smiled. "Excellent news. Begin standard reconciliation protocols. We'll send a diplomatic team within the week." After she closed the communication, Admiral Kethvar stared at her in amazement. "The hegemony? They control half the galactic rim. How did they even know about us?" "Word travels fast when a 10,000 ship fleet surrenders without firing a shot," Mitchell replied. 3 more empires have sent diplomatic messages in the past month. They want to discuss mutual cooperation agreements rather than risk facing Earth's defenses. You're not conquering them. You're recruiting them. We're offering them the chance to grow beyond the need for conquest. Some species learn quickly. Others take time. A few never learn at all. The Admiral looked out at the stars again, but now he saw them differently. The galaxy wasn't a place where the strong devoured the weak. It was a place where ancient wisdom waited patiently for young civilizations to grow wise enough to join a larger community. "What happens now?" he asked. "To my people, to the former empire, to me?" "That depends on you," Mitchell replied. "You can return to your people and help them build a new kind of civilization, one based on cooperation rather than domination. Or you can choose exile like some of your officers did. And if I try to rebuild the empire? If I attempt conquest again?" Commander Mitchell's eyes grew hard for just a moment, revealing the steel beneath her gentle exterior. "Then you'll learn why the galaxy has been peaceful for the past 1,000 years. Admiral, humanity doesn't conquer anymore, but we still remember how." The Admiral nodded, understanding completely. He had seen what human technology could do. The memory of his entire fleet being disabled in minutes would haunt him forever. "I choose wisdom," he said quietly. "Good," Mitchell replied, her expression softening again. "Then welcome to the real galaxy, Admiral. The one where strength protects rather than destroys, where power serves rather than rules, where species work together instead of devouring each other." She stood and walked to the transparent wall, looking out at the stars where former enemies worked side by side to heal the wounds of conquest. "Your people will find it a much better place to live than the one you thought you knew." Outside, the work continued. Human ships moved through space not as conquerors but as guardians, protecting the peace that their ancestors had paid so dearly to achieve. The galaxy was vast, and there were always new civilizations discovering the intoxicating power of conquest. But Earth was patient. Earth was watching. And Earth was ready to teach the same lesson it had been teaching for 12,000 years, that true strength comes not from the ability to destroy, but from the wisdom to know when not to use that ability. The Age of Empires was ending, one surrender at a time.